September 20th, 2019, a mob of people gather at the site of the mysterious government facility Area 51. Today is the day. They're gonna storm the gates, get inside, and find out what's hiding in there. Is one of the greatest mysteries in American history about to be solved? I wouldn't hold your breath. But what's the deal with Area 51 anyway? If you ask most people, it's the most secret facility in the United States. So secret that no one even knows what's inside. It's frequently believed to be where the government keeps classified things that aren't supposed to exist, including proof of extraterrestrials. Located in Nevada, it's just close enough to Roswell, New Mexico for people to think there's probably a flying saucer or two hiding inside. And the people who believe the government is keeping proof of aliens secret in Area 51 often think that even the president doesn't know about it. Because, one president would have tweeted out pictures of the aliens 5 minutes after finding out. But the actual truth is a lot more complicated, and it goes back decades. Area 51 is one of the most secure government facilities in the United States. How secure? Who's asking? The government isn't in the business of revealing the details about top-secret security measures, so we have no way of knowing who has access and who knows about this secretive site. What is known is that it's a complex network of government facilities located on the banks of Groom Lake in rural Nevada. There are a lot of bases in Nevada. Aside from Las Vegas and a few other cities, much of Nevada is federal land, and the wide open space makes it easy to conduct secret business. But we do know quite a bit. The only awareness most people have of Area 51's inner workings is the little bit we've picked up from aerial surveillance. It started out as a rectangular base of 6 miles by 10 miles, and since then it's massively expanded to a network of facilities ranging 23 to 25 miles across, connected to a larger road network in the Nevada test site, which was used for nuclear bomb testing long ago. Filled with security checkpoints, you'll get stopped long before you get anywhere near Area 51. But the surrounding area has become a bit of a tourist destination on State Route 375, with locals filling the small towns nearby with kitschy alien-themed attractions. And it turns out the truth goes back to flying, but maybe not saucers. The source of the name Area 51 is unknown, but it's believed to be part of the Atomic Energy Commission numbering grid. It doesn't match with the rest of the system, but the number is so high that it was unlikely to be used. Maybe this was part of it being highly classified, being within the system but outside it. We know the early history of the site includes being used for lead and silver mining in the 19th century, but those mines eventually died out in the 1950s, and the area had been used for an airfield in the 1940s, which made it prime real estate for Uncle Sam. Until 1955, the area was a loosely developed, unpaved airfield. But in 1955, the Cold War was raging, and much of it was going to be fought in the air. The CIA took over the land on the Groom Lake facility in 1955 and partnered with Lockheed Corporation to develop the Lockheed U-2, the strategic reconnaissance aircraft that would provide decades of key intelligence for the government. The aircraft was one of the government's most closely guarded secrets, and they needed a highly isolated location to test it, and Area 51 would deliver. Originally nicknamed Paradise Ranch, it soon played host to government workers and would become a reliable testing ground for military projects in the decades to come. 4 years later, it became the host for Project Oxcart, which specialized in anti-radar technology, aerodynamic structural tests, and other top-secret engineering projects. Much of this has since been declassified, and we know that multiple top Lockheed planes were designed here, including the A-12, a powerful Mach 3 plane that was the key to the 1960s spy race. And the government was gearing up for a long stay. By '61, the formerly deserted area had been transformed into a major military complex with multiple hangars and enough facilities to support a small population of workers. It looked more like a modern military base, but many of the residents were civilians and their families, so the government soon built other amenities like a gymnasium, a movie theater, and even a baseball diamond. No word on if there were any aliens present, and if so, if they got to play a rousing baseball game of human versus space invaders. A diagram from 1966 was declassified recently, and it shows us the details of how Area 51 was structured. Or maybe that's what they want you to think. So how did a simple military facility in the desert become a pop culture phenomenon? Part of it is the increased secrecy. As the Oxcart project began, the government started locking down the area. Entry was strictly regulated and the nearby mine was closed. The government even created a restricted airspace region over Groom Lake, and top-secret aircraft were brought in for testing. Those who were in the area would occasionally see a massive stealth aircraft take off from the base, and there was an increased sense of mystery around the facility. And the mystery technology base there would only get stranger. Today, many of the United States wars aren't fought with soldiers but with drones. These unmanned aircraft can track and identify a target and deliver a lethal attack without putting any soldiers in danger. Some are controlled by soldiers back at base in a process similar to video games, while others are programmed and sent into the field autonomously. And the process to make these high-tech aircraft possible began, you guessed it, at Area 51. And one of the most interesting projects in the 1960s was an unmanned aircraft that would be mounted to the back of a plane and launched from there. But some of the most classified technology at the base wasn't American at all. There was no bigger prize for a government during the Cold War than to capture an enemy aircraft. When Soviet-built aircraft wound up in U.S. hands, they were often brought back to Groom Lake for testing and breakdown, so the U.S. could gain knowledge on how to counter these weapons if a war ever began. Most famously, in 1966, an Iraqi fighter pilot was ordered to bomb civilian Kurd villages, and once he got those orders, he used a training flight to fly to Israel seeking refuge. The Israelis gave him sanctuary, smuggled his family out of Iraq, and turned his Soviet-built MiG fighter over to the government, after which it was flown at Groom Lake, and the success of the site would continue. Lockheed continued developing aircrafts at the site for the duration of the Cold War, making it the top testing facility for the government. However, it wasn't suitable for operations due to its size, so some testing would move over to nearby Tonopah, where a large airbase was developed. While the military moved many of its operations there, more classified tests continued at Area 51. The Cold War eventually ended, and things at Area 51 became quieter, but they certainly did not stop. The government continued expanding the area around the base using eminent domain to take privately owned land in 2015 to boost its security perimeter, and the information coming out of this mystery site slowed to a trickle. So, where are we now? The US government has always been cagey about Area 51, and no one's exactly sure what's going on there right now. We do know that the lake area is off limits, not just to road and foot traffic but to civilian and standard military aircraft, with many security checkpoints along the way, including buried motion sensors and armed guards. Anyone trying to get in will be stopped before they see anything classified. The only ones that do get in regularly? The Air Force, using their specialized Janet fleet of aircraft. These private planes are used to transfer military and government personnel to classified facilities, and we don't know who's on these planes or what their business is at Area 51. And any attempts to get more information about Area 51 have been fruitless. Officially, the government map only shows the mine area as being part of Area 51, but declassified documents have shed light on the history of the area and revealed many of its Cold War-era secrets. But the site is still as secretive as it ever was, and there don't seem to be nearly as many test flights as there used to be. Satellites have provided more information on the site, including showing runway markings, bases, and aircraft stationed there. Most details have come from the Freedom of Information requests leading to declassified documents. But the government is still keeping its secrets. In 1994, the government was hit by a lawsuit from a group of people who worked at Area 51. They were 5 civilian contractors and 2 widows of men who worked there and had since passed on. They claimed that they had been exposed to massive quantities of unknown chemicals that were burning at the site, and tests confirmed exposure to toxic chemicals including dioxin. The claimants reported skin, liver, and lung injuries and sued both the Air Force and the Environmental Protection Agency. They had their day in court, and the government immediately petitioned to have their entire thing shuffled away under the state secrets privilege. When the judge declined, President Clinton quickly issued an order exempting the facility from disclosure in the lawsuit, and the lawsuit had to be dismissed due to lack of evidence. What is the government keeping secret at Area 51, and has it killed people? Whatever the truth is, every president since has extended this protective declaration annually, including arch political rivals like Barack Obama and Donald Trump. They all seem to agree that Area 51 should be kept under lock and key, which naturally has only increased speculation from civilians. It's kept highly secure, and trespassers find out the hard way that the government means business. In January 2019, a man crashed through one of the security checkpoints and was pursued by guards. He led the guards on a wild chase for over 8 miles before exiting his vehicle carrying an unidentified object and was promptly shot dead. Suddenly, Area 51 was in the headlines again, and decades of conspiracies were about to come to a head. So, how did a standard military facility become such a haven for conspiracies? The place is fairly secretive, but most classified government facilities are. The security is standard for military sites, and we might actually know more about the activities going on there than we do at other bases abroad. After all, most of the aviation testing has since been declassified. But that hasn't pushed away the conspiracies. It actually seems to have made them more intense. And it's not just one conspiracy. Somehow Area 51 seems to have become the one place where just about every mysterious rumor about the government takes place. So what makes Area 51 so special? For one thing, it is big, really big. It isn't just a building or a network of buildings, it's a massive swath of the desert, bigger than some towns, that's just been entirely locked down by the government for decades. We only know a little of the layout, but it's possible that the government has built underground facilities at the Groom Lake site that are much bigger than what appears on the surface. And if they have, it's likely a storage facility for military technology. But the theories people have come up with are much wilder. So is there anything to them? Many of the theories are really out there, with people bringing up secret programs like weather control, time travel, or futuristic energy weapons. Most of these are in the realm of science fiction, and there's no proof the government has anything to do with them. Other theories are even more outlandish, like the idea that this is a secret base for a shadowy secret government that is actually pulling the president's strings. Less out there theories claim that the US military technology is much further advanced than we know, and the government is continuing to develop its war tech out of the public eye. But there's one theory that has more legs, or tentacles, than any other. How did Area 51 become the supposed hub of extraterrestrial technology? While there haven't been any specific reports of UFO sightings or crashes near Area 51 itself, the location is in the desert relatively close to Roswell and other sightings. The Southwest has an unusual number of UFO sightings, as the wide open sky means things like small planes or weather balloons would be far more noticeable in the night sky. And that's exactly what the government claims Roswell was, a weather balloon. But if you ask conspiracy theorists, that's exactly what they want you to think. And there have been a few claims that have a bit more to them. During the 1950s, civilian aircrafts could only fly half as high as military aircraft could, and the number of test flights in the area that broke what people thought was the limits of flight led to rumors spreading that something odd was going on there. Imagine if you looked up and suddenly a gleaming metal object soared through the sky, higher than any passenger plane you'd ever seen. You'd think it was a UFO too, although the government justifies this odd phenomenon by the silver wings of the plane reflecting the sun, giving the planes an odd shimmering effect. The government believes this explains the sightings, although the Air Force did have their own project investigating UFO sightings, Project Blue Book. They came up empty, or so they say, and one man says it was all a lie. Bob Lazar was not a reliable man, usually regarded as a conspiracy theorist prone to fantastical claims, and one of those claims was that he worked at Sector 4 in Area 51. The only problem was Sector 4 does not officially exist, to which Lazar said, you guessed it, that's what they want you to think. The author claimed that he worked in a massive underground laboratory where he tried to reverse engineer a captured alien spacecraft, and that claim was followed up on a documentary by Bruce Burgess in 1996, where the paranormal investigator interviewed an anonymous engineer who repeated the same claims. In 2004, a man named Dan Bursich claimed to have worked on cloning alien viruses at Area 51, along with befriending an alien he called J-Rod, although his claims are shaky as he was a parole officer with no history of government work. These aren't the most credible sources. So, how has Area 51 fascinated the public for so long? Simple. Hollywood. They put a lot of work into keeping the legend alive. The 1950s were largely the birth of the American sci-fi genre, and the fascination with aliens has continued ever since. The idea that there is a top-secret base filled with aliens, friendly or terrifying, has created a whole host of entertainment spin-offs that base their plot on that concept. No word on a wacky office comedy where a bunch of hapless co-workers have to keep the aliens from escaping, but you know it's coming. But it's appeared in one of the most popular movies of all time. In 1996, everyone was going to see one movie, Independence Day, a thriller where a fleet of giant spaceships comes to Earth and begins attacking major cities. The aliens, a hive mind-like group of monsters, used planets for their resources and left them in ruins, and the fate of humanity was in the hands of Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. Those aliens had better not say anything about Will's wife. The president, played by Bill Pullman, was shocked to discover that Area 51 had been secretly keeping an alien scout captive for decades, and he never even knew about the top-secret facility. It was kind of a ridiculous movie, but it was easily the biggest spotlight the world had ever gotten of the legendary secret government base. And when there's a success, there's rip-offs. Soon, pretty much everyone wanted to have Area 51 showing up in their media. The facility showed up in the popular Fox conspiracy thriller The X-Files in 1998, and was given a more comic twist in the action-adventure Men in Black, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in 1997. That Will Smith will not leave the aliens alone. And this was also the era that video games were becoming more popular, so it was no surprise that a shooting game set at the facility soon showed up, simply titled Area 51. It surprisingly didn't have any aliens in it, but instead pitted the player against genetically engineered zombie soldiers, and the facility would soon get even more starring roles. In 2015, Area 51 would become the title of a found-footage horror film. Primarily released on on-demand video platforms, it featured a trio of particularly stupid friends who decide to break into the military base using the tools provided by a friend whose father worked there. They find strange technology and a carnivorous alien trying to kill them. As the movie goes on, 2 members of the group get captured by a mysterious force, and the surviving 2 get abducted by the government, never to be seen again. It was considered a mediocre attempt to cash in on the found footage craze that didn't really add anything more to the mythology of Area 51, but it provided a few good jump scares. But maybe the biggest boost for the facility's attention came in 2011. Written by journalist Annie Jacobson, Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top-secret military base, was billed as the most in-depth look at Area 51 ever created, claiming to feature countless interviews with scientists and engineers that worked at the base. Surprisingly, it abandoned the alien connection entirely and came up with a story that was even crazier. It claimed that the deranged Nazi scientist Joseph Mengele had been recruited by the Soviets and that they had genetically engineered mutant child-sized pilots to fly UFOs over the United States for spying, and that they had been captured and kept at Area 51. Some people praised the book as a compelling read, but others pointed out that, well, it was kinda nuts. But hey, points for originality. Mutant Soviet Nazi dwarfs is a theory we've never heard before. And with this level of conspiracy theories floating around, it's no surprise that things were about to get crazier. After the shooting incident in 2019, Area 51 was back in the news, and many people argued that the government must be hiding something really big there if it was willing to shoot any trespassers. And into that void stepped an internet troll. His name was Matty Roberts, and he was about to go down in history when he posted on Facebook, "If we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens." This soon became a rallying cry of "They can't stop us all," and his ironic post calling for everyone to meet and storm Area 51 suddenly went viral. A few weeks later, over 3 million people were interested in meeting up at Groom Lake, and Roberts started getting worried. Exactly what had he kicked off? He quickly issued a post saying that he was only joking and he didn't want a visit from the FBI. But it was a little too late. Soon it was a sensation, with music star Lil Nas X even releasing a remix of one of his songs celebrating the raid. Soon, even the government had to step in, with an Air Force spokeswoman saying that the government was aware of the plans and that anyone who tried to break into an open training range for the Air Force would be turned back, arrested, or stopped by any means necessary. The FAA even stepped in and increased flight restrictions over the area. When the military's public relations office posted a meme implying that any people who tried to break in would be vaporized by a stealth bomber, they were forced to delete the meme and apologize. Apparently, vaporizing your constituents is bad PR. But not everyone was worried. While the government was keeping a close eye on the situation, local small towns prepared for an influx of business and warned that their small hotels didn't have the capacity to handle all these visitors. They posted tips for camping in the harsh desert environment and waited for the best sales period of their lives. And on September 19, 2019, people started showing up. While most of the 3 millions likely had jobs to go to, it's estimated that around 1,500 people did show up at the fences around Area 51. And then they had a party. The event turned out to be less of a siege of the facility and more of a selfie opportunity, with a few people taking photos at the fence and then dispersing. The only arrests were people nabbed for alcohol offenses, public urination, and indecent exposure. The aliens don't want to see that, Kevin. And after the initial event, it turned into a music festival called Alien Stock, where a bunch of people partied the night away in alien gear. The only person not there? Roberts, whose creation had gotten far out of his control and he didn't really want to be associated with it anymore. The only people disappointed were the ones who thought that they were actually going to storm Area 51. But what if a large group did? Could the government actually stop them? In a word, yes. Area 51 is designed to be secure enough to withstand an armed invasion, and the exterior security is top of the line for the military. As for what's beyond it, we don't know. because no one who wasn't supposed to has ever made it inside. So if a group of a few thousand people tried to storm Area 51, most of them would be stopped by security. Those few that got further would likely find a secure base with no easy way in, and then much more serious criminal charges for breaking into a government facility. So it looks like whatever's in there, Area 51 will be keeping it a secret. Sorry, Alf, we'll be there to break you out soon. Want to learn more about what could be in Area 51? Watch This Will Happen When the Government Confirms Aliens Exist. Or is there evidence that aliens did come to Roswell? For all the mysterious details.